Hi all. On July 1st, Chiron will be retrograding in Pisces. Now Chiron for all of us is our core wounding. It's different for each of us, but when we're dealing with Pisces, and that's the area that we're looking at, it's always about core emotional wounding. And obviously in our society, most of us have some damage in that regard. Chiron in Pisces can be the most ecstatic of experiences or the most soul-rendering. So it's really a time to find our direct connection to Source. Chiron can sometimes, not all the time, relate to actually some physical issues. And so when Chiron is in your sign or contact an important planet in your chart, you may experience illness, you may be open to infection, but it's possibly a lot around your boundaries. And some people will succumb to drug or alcohol abuse because, again, we're talking about the emotional core wounding and how do we manage that. So addiction is one way to manage it. It's not necessarily the most effective, but it's one way that we do so. Chiron has been in Pisces. Chiron is in a sign for about, it takes a 50-year cycle. So the last time Chiron was in Pisces was in the 60s, and most of us will only have really one experience of this. So we're tending towards the end of this cycle, so it's about time for us to do the emotional work so we can be present in the world in a better way. So depending on your sign, this is where Chiron will be transiting. In Aries, Pisces is your 12th house, so it's again being open to universal forces. And sometimes the Aries person may have a lack of faith that God is on their side. So this will be a point to say, okay, look at the experience and see where you actually are supported. Taurus, because you may be caught in the material plane, there can be a lot of anxiety about the future. Of course, not unrelated to what's happening in the world, but the more you're connected to the larger world and not concerned with your own personal survival, the stronger you will be. Gemini, the Chiron wounding can oftentimes happen in the career and possibly a fear of loss of status. The Chiron person at this point in time would be dealing with also issues around the father. So a lot of times you'll replicate those father issues with your boss, but it's time to sort of forgive your dad for whatever he did. The wound is the gift. Cancer, again, being a tribal sign is sometimes very hard to lift off the ground. And so Chiron in Pisces is trying to get you in touch with your deep core truth. And again, we can see where perhaps issues around wounding and wounding of your faith will come up. But it's also, again, the time to see, Chiron says, and Pisces say to surrender. So in all these instances, wherever the difficulty is, if you take the resistance off of it, a miracle can happen, because that's also Pisces. Moving on to Leo, you're dealing with intimacy issues. And again, Leo, the sign of the self, how can the self also deal with others? So there can be a tendency to maybe shut down or shut off, or attract people who shut down and shut off. So again, we want to have you release yourself to that problem. And also, because it's in your relationship house, you may be a person who's dealing with a partner who may have some substance abuse issues at the time. This is a transit, it's not permanent. Libra, likewise, I missed Virgo, similar to Leo, it's about your relationships. So possibly the best version to deal with this when you're a Virgo rising or Virgo sun is to be of service to others, particularly the disadvantaged, because this is a way to also use up the Pisces energy. Libra, you might be the sign that deals with the health issues right now because it's in your 6th house. And we have to look at all physical wounding and physical issues as really coming from the emotional plane. So if you can start to get at the real reason you're sick, you can find some magnificent healing. Scorpio, as much as Scorpio is controlling, you can be very idealistic around love. So ultimately there can be disillusionment around a partner, disillusionment around a project because it didn't go your way, but part of the lesson for Scorpio is to learn to surrender. Sagittarius, Pisces is in what is considered your 4th house of home. So damage from the maternal figure, damage in the environment, possibly not feeling supported as you were growing up. But now you've certainly passed that point. I mean, you survived your childhood, so you're able to actually offer that healing and support to others. Capricorn may oftentimes have a feeling of being misunderstood by friends and family, because they're kind of grown-ups when they come into the world. So for Capricorn, it's about not paying attention to other people's opinions and knowing that yours are valid and true. Aquarius, like Leo, may have some issues around finance at this time. It's not that you actually have the material plane limitations, but it's more about your confidence in the future. Pisces, it's actually, you know, the transit is happening for you. So certain times you may feel like you are the victim. Again, Pisces loves to suffer to some degree. So Chiron in Pisces, though, is a time to get at some of your vulnerability, but actually realize it's a strength rather than a weakness. So I think at this time in our lives, the personal is the political, so the more readily we work on our internal programming, our emotional damage, the more we're going to be able to give the world and make the changes that are necessary. I'm Patrice Kamens. Thanks for watching.